Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 452, Keeping Things Simple and Homelab Q&A. The Keeping Things Simple is, well, a newsletter that just went out that we did. We talked about keeping things simple in the newsletter. I have a video that I was going to have published before, but I always review the videos after I upload them. And occasionally, and I do have one where if I don't remember which video it is, but man, there's a video where I didn't edit properly and I missed part. When I do when I'm editing, if I get stuck, I just kind of pause and then I let it go for a moment because I know to cut there. I forgot to cut it. So someone's like, Tom froze. And, there's a whole lot of comments on there. Anyways, during the review of my Docker video, I realized, I was like, this video is longer than expected. Somehow, when I was dragging things on the timeline, I dragged the same one twice. Well, actually, two things twice are on the timeline. Basically, the last two things I cover in Docker, I covered them twice by dragging them on there twice. So it's not like twice as good. It's really not as good. It just makes the video longer for no value. So it's re-rendering right now. So that is not getting uploaded. I'll just push it tomorrow. But I will share a link with all of you, because for those of you that just don't care about watching the video and want to know just what Tom's running in Docker, here's the link to that. I made a forum post because I like making forum posts to go with my videos when it's something that makes sense, like a list of your Docker containers. And I got more than a list of my Docker containers in here. I actually have a list of the videos of how to set up those Docker containers as well. So it's not just the Docker containers of what I'm using. If you just want that, those links are within here. But if you're like, hey, how do you set that up, or how does it work? And do you have a video on it? Yes, I embedded all those in here as well. So that link's available for anyone that is interested. I was hoping to have the Docker video ready. And the keeping it simple is something I mentioned in there, because right in the beginning, and not to spoil a video, because I don't think it's really a spoiler, I do say in the beginning why I don't use Kubernetes. And the too long didn't watch, I don't need the complexity, and I'm about simplicity. Keeping things simple is always where you want to start. I do complicated things because sometimes clients need very complicated things. And in those use cases, absolutely, you don't get to have the company, the scale at which Google operates, or many other similar companies, without things like Kubernetes. It is an excellent tool, but it is also not the right tool to run a handful of things in your home lab if your goal is not to learn Kubernetes. And I don't have any goals of being someone who administers Kubernetes. It's not the role I take in consulting with my clients. So it comes back to keeping it simple. You want to build things that are very supportable and not any more complicated than they need to be. This is just a business aspect for when you're tasked with managing those things. If you know how to do something complicated, and many people do, they often start there. And I don't always think it's the right solution. That's why keeping it simple is such an important aspect of whatever your goals are. And for some people, their goals aren't at all to get into Kubernetes. They just want to run a few services themselves, and they maybe want to host a media server, and that's it. And they don't want to do it in the most complex way. They want to do it in the most set up, maintainable way. So I'm seeing, and I know there's, I haven't thought about them in a bit. Oh man, now I can remember the name of them. The company that is building on top of TrueNAS to make it easier to use, HexOS. I think there's a growing demand. I've heard from many of you who generally, I think the people on this live stream and many people on my channel are on the more technical end, but more from the consumer end, where people go, I want to run things myself, and I want to be able to have my own data sovereignty. Just seeing more and more of this out there, because people are less than thrilled with everything in their life becoming a SaaS subscription that can change at will. You're a contract change or VC investment away from the tool you like becoming the tool you don't like, either because Google killed it or they just soured you on it by holding your data hostage and ransoming it for whatever they can squeeze out of you. So that's why I like the simplicity of things. There's times, like I said, when I'm doing something more complicated, but it's pretty cool. I tried setting up Wood last week and broke Homer. Interesting. I don't know how that would break Homer, but I don't know what you did to come to that. But that's what backups are for. Thank you for your channel. Keep learning with you. I just have one question. Is there any resource similar to learn on assembling the server rack and all the cable management? If you look up, there's a handful of cable management videos. There is a subreddit, and there's a lot of, let me pull it up here. Let me find it for you so I can remember what the name of the Reddit is. I think, let me make sure I can give you the right here. Yes. All right. It's actually a fun subreddit, and we'll share it together. It is Reddit r cable porn. It gives you ideas for how people are doing their setups and how not to do them. So this is the before and after. I like these, and showing how people clean them up. There are groups you can find. There's some Facebook groups. I don't love that they're on Facebook, but running forums is challenging. So people do things like running on Facebook, and people show things off, but you can kind of derive and read through the comments of how people do things. And there are some videos out there. I've not done a ton of them myself because I don't spend a lot of time doing cable management, but there's, maybe I should do a few more videos on this as a topic. It's just, I don't do it myself, so I have to work with other people to get it done. But check out Reddit r cable porn. That is safe for work, I guess. Zip ties is not cable management. True. Broke your entire Docker. Definitely screwed it up. My goal was VMware that connects to all my other VMs running Docker. Hoodoo, Homer, Nginx, Proxmox. Got it. Windows makes things simple, but it comes at a high price tag, especially licensing a dual socket VM with 256 cores. I'd rather stick with Ubuntu. I don't know that Windows is really simple anymore. I think the user experience has become so bad on Windows. They've just completely kick the consumer right in the head. They've just not giving you a wonderful time. They're like, here, this is yours. Slap. We're not going to treat you nice. We're going to give you ads for games in your start bar and what other things we can cram in here. I'm far from thrilled with the user experience on Windows. I would actually say you get a better experience on a Linux desktop, but I hate saying this. It bothers me a little because I wish the Linux experience was perfect, but I'll be very realistic here. Having, like I've said this to several of my non or less technical friends, MacBook Air is the way to go. It is an inexpensive laptop with an amazing battery life, easy updates. I'm not at all an Apple fanboy, but I can't argue with like the average person going, I just need something that works. And I will tell you, the Apple thing just works. So it's it's where the consumer experience is not where it should be. Just overall, all these companies look at us as cattle that they can extract something from. They can milk us for every dollar. Can you tell I might have been watching a couple of Louis Rossmann videos? There was a fun crossover because I like motorcycles, and Louis Rossmann, I didn't get to see it, but one of my motorcycle friends said, hey, I imagine you follow Louis Rossmann. I was like, yeah. They're like, he's ranting about CF Moto. I'm like, oh, I'm sure they're doing something egregious and terrible if they have got the attention of Louis Rossmann. I don't know if I should rant more about those things. Like Louis Rossmann's known for that, and there's people that follow him. Like, I don't follow all of his stuff that he does because it's at some point, I do my own level of ranting on places like LinkedIn. I don't know if I should keep doing more videos on that as a topic. Obviously, the Synology one is a crossover between like me and something Rossmann. I don't know if he's ever talked about Synology. Like I said, I don't watch all his videos, but that's like something that has clearly angered not only me, a person who thinks Synology makes a good product, but has decided to do some very unfriendly things by locking people in the drive. That particular video has become very popular with all the people commenting, screw Synology. And Synology's response has been not good at all. They're just doubling down on their bad idea. But I mean, that's more opportunity for open source. And I think as these companies, and as Cory Doctorow likes to say, are enshittifying all the things, which I'm excited because I backed his book on Kickstarter, his latest one on enshittification. It's just kind of, we're watching it all over the place with these companies, that the way they treat us. And I don't know how much value there is in Tom ranting about it, because I think I'm preaching to the choir. I bring it up when it's, relevant, but honestly, I would rather focus on creating a tutorial for what open source Docker containers I use and what open source tools I'm using to get around whatever has been enshittified by some large company. Have you taken a look at UniFi OS servers for MSPs already? Not yet. We still are hosting the UniFi controller the normal way, because ain't broke, don't fix it. But I will probably switch to that. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, eventually I think it's a pretty cool setup. I like where UniFi is going. They're a company that, if you didn't know or you weren't watching their stock price, it's been going straight up. And it's because they do the craziest thing. And people talk about me or anyone else that gets excited about UniFi that they just call us UniFi shills. But I'm like, we're at a point now where I have a hard time naming the competitors who will let you host your own controller, who don't lock you in with licenses and subscription fees and sell networking gear. There is a very short list. And I know MikroTik is popular because of the low price, but MikroTik doesn't hold a candle to the overall options you get with UniFi and the central management that comes with UniFi. That's where I don't know who else is doing that, because every other company is like cloud and subscription and lock-in. And if you don't pay the ransom, it turns into a pumpkin at midnight. I don't love that. I know there's just a lot of other people that kind of feel the same way. So that's kind of the popularity of UniFi. The markets are rewarding them, but then again, the markets reward companies that lock people in and screw them around as well. So that's the thing. Every day at 8 p.m., I see a peak of requests on my domain on the Cloudflare dashboard. My guess is there's just some bot that gets to whatever letter of the alphabet you are. Maybe you're letter F in the alphabet, and that's when the letter F gets scanned. It's hard to say unless I know where they're coming from. You'd have to look up the IPs, where they're requesting, who do they belong to? Are they listed somewhere like Gray Noise? And Gray Noise is a site that will give you IPs that they know are doing bad things. And Gray Noise is pretty neat. Let me drop a link for anyone, because it's graynoise.io is their website. But they're an aggregator of things like that, where scanners might be. Hey, look, these IPs do this scanning. So yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, the managed organization for users is really nice. That's a nice feature that they have for the UniFi, the MSP management tool. Gray Noise discovers stealthy backdoor campaign, and they'll list the events. I believe they have the IPs listed. Yeah, they'll even tell you like these IPs are for this activity. Gray Noise is kind of cool. They have a lookup tool you can use as well to look up IPs. You can do that for free without paying them a subscription or anything like that. I'm not a sponsor. Maybe they should be a sponsor sometime. I think they do some cool stuff. Grandstream, I don't know a lot about them, but one of the things Grandstream is quite different than UniFi about is the fact that Grandstream does not offer direct sales. So the fact that they push you through a reseller is one more thing that UniFi decided to sell direct. And Tplink, I am reaching out to some security researchers. I've learned a lot about Tplink and their security problems, and they're not good, to say the least. They seem to be quite poor on security. And there's a researcher that's just dropped some information. I'm validating before I will post any of this, but they basically contacted them and said they wouldn't respond. They wouldn't respond to all these problems. They just don't care. I am under the belief, and they're, by the way, TP-Link's not the only company doing this. TP-Link became a CNA, and I think the reason they became a CNA is so they can bury or ignore the CVEs. Now, if you're a CNA, a CVE numbering authority. That's what CNA stands for, as in if your product has a flaw, someone submits that flaw, instead of them reaching out to, and them being like a third-party security company doing the CNA, you can do CNAs yourself on your own products. You can say, oh, person who gave me this information, we'll assign this CVE, blah, 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 because we're a CVE numbering authority. But it also gives them more power to delay releasing security details. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Tplink at all. You've built a custom TrueNAS server where I'm running image Nextcloud, but I don't know why I am scared to use it. I feel like I lose my data configuration or mistake I made. Oh, what you have to do is build it, back it up, and restore it. And once you've done that a few times, like don't put any data in there, put like a test piece of data in this location and make sure you have a process. That's what gives you the confidence that your data won't just go away, is that you've gone through the restore process, because nobody cares about a backup that works. Everybody wants a restore that works. So make sure your restore works. What's your thoughts on TrueNAS GoldenEye Nvidia requirements? It's not really their fault. Nvidia, yeah, they summed it up well in the TrueNAS podcast. I don't know. There's a lot of challenges. Like, what do we do? They're going to drop support for this. Yeah, so I don't have a lot more thoughts other than what the developer said on it. Can somebody recommend a good ARM board with 10 gig support to build a NAS? Not right now, I can't. There's not a lot of high performance NAS on ARM, but that could be changing because they are working. And this was 2 episodes ago on the T3 or the TrueNAS podcast. There is some early beta builds of using NAS on an ARM system. Therefore, there could be a future where there is a good NAS option on ARM. And someone will say, like, I think it's Open Media Vault, I think runs on ARM. But I don't think it's a great NAS system, not compared to TrueNAS feature-wise. UniFi OS doesn't respect the skip device migration button during setup, so when you import the config, but besides that, it works much faster. I know it's still in beta right now, I believe. I think it's still in release candidate, so not full release. On my to-do list to do testing still. An untested backup is wishful thinking. This is so true. At our company, we use Tplink, and we were thinking about switching enterprise gear. What do you think about Fortinet? It's a solid brand. I have a great list. I share a lot about Fortinet. Fortinet's a security nightmare, and they're slowly refactoring their code. And it's not everyone has security issues. That's not the debate I make. The debate is, and it's in my forums, but it's lawrence.video/Fortinet. It's a history of all the ignoring researchers, hard coding backdoors into the system. I mean, there's a security problem from, hey, we did something that's complicated and someone found a way the complicated thing we did, like a login vulnerability that was really clever or something like that. I don't cover any of those. I cover, oops, we put keys where there shouldn't have been keys, or we put a password where there shouldn't have been passwords. Those are the problems. Hard coding credentials is not a accident. You have intentionally done something dumb, or you have willfully ignored years and years of well-known good practices. So that's my feelings on Fortinet. Yeah, wrong. I don't know. I think it's the right brand to ask about. Okay, so TP-Link you have is those light switches that they have, which are kind of neat. Here's the short URL for the Fortinet. I keep adding on when Fortinet has a new thing. Here's the latest thing they did. I love this one, was great because, oh, actually, no, here, this one. No, wait, this one. I keep adding on. Fortinet is like, woo, stupid stuff. This one really made me like, you can't make this up. Let me read this right here for a second. FortiWeb is marketed to protect against OWASP's top 10 threats, including SQL injection. Now, the OWASP top 10 threats or OWASP threat list, this is a list of things you shouldn't do. These are well known, like, don't do dumb. These are dumb. Don't do these dumb things that would cause problems. So FortiWeb makes a web application firewall that's supposed to protect you from these things, but it's literally its job to protect you from these things. They have a SQL injection flaw in the thing that's supposed to protect you from SQL injection flaws. That's how I think of Fortinet. This is a modern sold product. This isn't some old, we blew the dust off it and found a problem with it. Like, this is a currently sold product with a CVE that is because it has a SQL injection. But it doesn't stop there. It turns out it also was running SQL as root, because why not have more than one violation of good security policies in your web application firewall? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. That's basically all I got to say about Fortinet. I don't understand them. You're dumping Fortinet at work, yeah. Thoughts on Ninja RMM? Looking to switch over from Manage Engine. We have 150 Windows machines, 65 Macs. We've been using Ninja RMM for years, and I still use them. So my thoughts on Ninja RMM is it's a happy place to be. That is not a sponsored or now they may be a future sponsor. I have engaged them about sponsorships. I will say that up front, just so I'm just closing any biases. I'm also on their, I participated in their advisory boards and worked with them. So yes, I'm biased. Yes, I know the CEO. Take that into context, because I'm saying it's a product I use, a product I like, but it's also a product I know the people that work there. And I do like them. Me and Dan, who's their product manager for backups, are friends. I think a lot of them, I think they're a good company, and I trust them with all the RMM things we use. Digital asset management, open source, mainly video and post-production tagging comments. No, I don't know of any that are. So not something. At first I thought you were thinking asset management, but you mean digital assets like videos. I don't know of any good ones. Is Nvidia still charged for a vgpu functionality? I thought they changed that, but I am far from an expert on that particular topic. Doubt it. I don't imagine XCP-NG or Proxmox would be on their list of things to support. It wouldn't make a ton of sense to do so. XCP-NG has its own backups. I just know some people, like Veeam is now in beta for XCP-NG backups because I think there was enough demand for that. But XCP-NG has its own backups, so I use those backups, and that's what works for me. But maybe it works for you if you did it the other way, backing it up to Ninja. I don't know. I don't know if that makes as much sense to me. Is your video on using Invoice Engine, Assurance Community Edition application app catalog keeps giving an error? I've never tried that, and I don't think running it on SureNAS, I know it's in there, but I don't think that's the place I would want to run it. When you talk about invoicing and having your invoices on a publicly exposed server, I don't know if running it on a SureNAS is ideal. So my preference is no. You're about to switch to Ninja, but without the backup. I was just curious. Yeah, they're focused on like endpoint backups. That's the focus for how they do things. They're not really into the, at least I don't think they're doing the hypervisor backups. So Fortinet has so many cons. Which brand of network gear is top nowadays? Hard to say. Cisco is obviously still really popular. So is Palo Alto. I don't know what's going on. What HPE bought Palo Alto, so I don't really know. I don't know the status of what the future looks like, because that kind of sucks. They're not an independent company. I know a lot of people like Palo Alto. Arista is still pretty popular for switching. The downside, I mean, it all depends on what your goals are. If your needs can be met, because any way I bid things, my process for working with clients is not telling them I have this product, let me sell you this product. Is what do you need? What are your goals? What are your use cases? What is your budget? Those are all questions that need to be answered before I ever recommend a product. And slapping the word enterprise on anything is just marketing. I know there's like people who will beat this and argue this or whatever, but it all starts with needs. Will this thing do the thing you need is what we try to figure out. I mean, I can deliver pizzas in a giant van or Mack truck, but that seems unreasonable. It seems if I would just wanted, if the goal is just to get pizza from here to there, maybe a car would be fine. So all starts out with there. So, okay, Palo, I had it mixed up. So HPE bought Palo Alto. Correction there. UniFi with a mix of MikroTiks. Sounds confusing, but hey, as long as you have a way to handle it. So Palo Alto bought CyberArk. See, it's hard to keep up with the consolidation on there. Hello from France. Do you have a plan to make more VIFO videos related to GPU partitioning? No, not really. I don't do a lot of videos on that. So I don't know. It's not something I do a lot in my day to day. So I don't think so. I believe Jeff from Craft Computing has some series of videos on GPU partitioning. Did you ever have any clients requiring PCI pass-through knowledge? Once in a while. It's not that common. It's not zero, but it's certainly not many clients. Yep. All right. Someone else, another vote for Craft Computing. He's got a lot of videos on it. Jeff did a great deep dive over at Craft Computing on a lot of different how GPUs work and how GPU video works. So it's a great resource for all of that. Jeff's pretty much like, it was fun talking to Jeff. He's a friend, and he says, well, you're trying to do the research and everyone references you when you're trying to find something deeper about something. You're like, aha, this forum post says I solved it. And they reference Jeff's video, and Jeff's like, no, not solved. I talked in the video where there's more information needed on this. And now it's just people linking back to me. He's like, it's gone full circle. He has a lot of related Proxmox. I'm hesitating between XCP and Proxmox to start a remodeled Homelab. I mean, with the Proxmox, with XCP-NG, where is it at? You can I just pass through. I'm not really partitioning it. I just passed the video card through. Here's the attached PCI for this. I've got a video on how to do this. Only weird thing, you have to pass through the audio or it doesn't work. Even though I'm not using the audio, when you do the pass through, it expects both or it doesn't work. But yeah, you just check the box and pass it through. It's a really simple to attach PCI devices. And that way Ollama has direct access to the video card for my self-hosted Ollama system. So I have no problems. It works perfectly fine. No issues there. I use containers too much to move completely to XCP-NG. I like the LXC integration of Proxmox. The Docker integration XCP is still broken. Yeah, to me, I just prefer to run Docker as a VM in XCP-NG. So I just have one Docker VM that runs all the things. Actually, this isn't the one. This is my lab one. So that way it's nice and simple, where this VM is where all of my Docker composed files and data and everything for Docker lives here. That video I'll have released tomorrow on that as a topic. Partly Homelab related, I have an established vCenter cluster with 10 hosts. With how Broadcom is annihilating VMwares, we're switching or just stick with what I have. We have been migrating customers all the time. So that's how we're solving the problem for people, is just migrating them off of VMware over to XCP-NG. You are at risk of whatever whim that Broadcom does, and nothing they seem to be doing is friendly to any of us. So yeah, The single pane of glass and XCP-NG is nice. Actually, would fix the Zen Orchestra Docker integration. I don't think that's a priority. I mean, maybe it is. Post in our forums about it. It's not even something I use or any of our clients use. I just use it, and I have, like I said, my Docker lives in a single VM. But I have to go. I can only do a short live stream today because I have a thing I have to be at soon. Can XCP-NG do distributed networking the same way or similar to VMware? Yes, it supports software-defined networking, VXLAN. I've got a video dedicated to networking features of XCP-NG, but you can also just read their documentation. It's publicly available in there. No licenses to their documentation, no paywall, no registration, so you can do a lot of reading about it. Is the V2V migration process extremely more complicated if you're using vSAN? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that much more complicated. So yeah, nonetheless, it's something they've been working on a lot. It's actually the latest iteration got a whole lot faster for doing the migration. So definitely check out the latest V2V migration that they have on there. There's good forum posts on the topic. But I do have to run. I'll answer this last question. What are some unconventional subs you've seen in business environments? Recently saw a business running a mini for small database. Yeah. I've seen all kinds of things. I mean, if I can find photos of it, maybe one of these times I'll bring it up. Someone built a UPS at a business. I swear they built this. This is so funny, but they grabbed a bunch of marine deep cell, like 12-volt batteries, and they built a UPS they had the UPS and they wired it to standard batteries. And I'm like, I don't think this is safe. It was one of those, you guys built something interesting here. You used batteries to wire up a UPS that had bad batteries. So I've definitely seen some strange things. People will do anything to save money, and not always doing the right thing is not always, I don't know. They just don't do the right thing, as we'll just say that. They'll do whatever it is they did instead of that. And I don't know that it's really the cost savings they thought. But thank you all for joining. I do have to run to an event. I wish I could do a longer live stream. Maybe I'll do another one tomorrow or Saturday and catch up. I don't know. Maybe if I have time tonight, do we do two? Can we do two on Thursday? I don't know. Depends on what time I get back, because I have things I do have to get finished. But thank you all for joining me. Hit me up in the forums.lawrencesystems.com. You can email me vlogthursday at lawrencesystems.com. Those are two easy ways to get a hold of me. Also, not that one. Yeah, this one, Vlog Thursday. I thought I had one more. Either way, I'm not a hard person to find. Hit me up at lawrencesystems.com. Connections to all the socials where you can reach out. But post in the forums if you have a more in-depth or technical question you want me to answer. I'm more than happy to do that. And thank you all for joining. Sorry I couldn't be here longer today, but always more coming. And I'll have that video on Docker published tomorrow morning. Thanks.